Good evening, folks. Welcome back to the channel. It's great to see you. It always is. I hope you're doing well. We've got the third round over in the Cincinnati Masters today. As always, we'll be going through each and every one of these matches that we've got. Be sure to get your comments in with your predictions as we go. Anything that I'm going for personally will always be in that pinned comment. Make sure you're checking that out. If you want to, you can take it if you like. Leave it if you must. It's entirely up to you. But before we get started, like the video, if you'd be so kind. Get yourself subscribed to the channel. If you're not already, it'd be an honour to welcome you to the team. We do continue to grow each and every day, 2.4k. We're getting there, folks. We're getting there slowly but surely. It's only a matter of time. But very well, we'll waste no more time with it. Let me know. How did we all find yesterday? How did we manage? Did we lose? Did we win? Did we just come close? Most importantly, did we enjoy the matches? I had the over in Commissania and Luciano Darderi. Very grateful. Although it was unfortunate that Darderi had to pull out. It's the last thing we want to see. We will always wish him a speedy recovery. But I was grateful that he pulled out. He couldn't play. And I always say, if you can't play, then just don't play. He went to the net. He shook hands just when he needed to. Money back for me. No damage done. We can all live with that. Still in a good spot, still trying to build on that first bunch of wins from the other day. We'll see if we can go again today. But get yourself involved, share with the group, let me know how you got on, and we'll get down to business. Let's get it on. Right, so first off, for us today, we've got Alex Michelsen and Holger Rune. I'm looking forward to this. I think this could be one of the better matches that we've got today, providing all goes well. I would probably side with Holger Rune if I had to. Maybe not by much, but I am expecting him to get it done. I am expecting him to get this one done. It could be a little bit too close for comfort. Alex Michelsen's no joke. Alex Michelsen is most definitely no joke. 4-2 since we've come back onto the hard court for Michelsen. Barriers Vera, Musetti, Lerner, and then I didn't think he was going to get past Mute in the first match, and he dropped the set, but he managed to come back and get that one done. Happy days, good stuff from the American there. Holger Rune managed to beat Roman Safiullin. Kinda knew he would. Left a bit to be desired, I won't lie. There was a couple of errors creeping in here and there he could do with brushing up on that forehand, most definitely. But I just can't help but think that pretty much most of the things, if not everything Alex Michelsen does, I think on the day Holger Rune can do just the same, if not better. If we're talking on the hard court, there is not a lot to split them this season. I'm afraid 14-9 for Michelsen, 12-6 for Holger Rune. What I will say is this, and you probably don't need me to tell you, but it tends to be the case more often than not with Alex Michelsen. He's not solely dependent, but he is highly dependent on that first serve hitting. If he can stand behind that first serve, that is where the majority of the damage is done from Alex Michelsen. According to Mute, Holger Rune, I think he possesses more ways to hit you. He really does. I think he's got a few more tools in the bag, got a bit more finesse to the game than Alex Michelsen. I think if Michelsen can turn up, stand behind the serve, he could most definitely stifle Holger Rune. Holger Rune ain't exactly the most consistent of players, to say the least. I think a decent look in this would probably be the over 22.5. Both in decent form since we've come back to the surface. Both got nice momentum coming into this one. I could say I would fancy Holger Rune to get it done just on class alone, but I think Michelsen, he may have something to say about that. He may turn up and give him a very good go. He could even turn up and pull off the upset in this. Alex Michelsen opened up for me around 2.7. He's now currently sitting around 2.4. So there's clearly quite a few people fancy a piece of Alex Michelsen today. I couldn't talk it off it. 1.6 for Holger Rune, that's not too bad. That's a bit of a better price for us to do business with the Dane, providing you wanted to today. I would have to lean towards him. Am I going to take him? Am I going to take him? I'm not too sure. If it's pinned, it's pinned. It's not, it's not. I think it would be an over 22.5 for me in that one. I'd be surprised if either one comes out and just walks the other in straight sets. Do I see Rune just turning up and winning like 6-3, 6-4? Maybe not. Maybe not. I'd like to think Michelsen can keep this one close. As the slightest of dogs, it would be the over 22.5 for me if I had to touch that. Right, so next up, got Arthur Rinderknech and Felix Auger Aliassime. This will be a decent one too. I would probably lean towards Felix getting this one done. He did beat him in Mallorca not that long ago over on the grass. Straight sets, 7-5, 6-3. He's coming into this one as quite a big favourite indeed. 1.4 is the price you're going to pay for the Canadian today. He looked alright. He looked alright against Echeverry. It was nothing to write home about. Came out firing in that first set. Sent it to a tie-break in the second. Decent enough. I just needed him to win, and that's exactly what he done. Arthur Rinderknech, I was quite surprised he got past Casper Ruud. He looked rather good doing so. 2 in a row for the French. Nuno Borges in 2, Casper Ruud in 3. That makes it yet another win against an opponent within the top 20 for Arthur Rinderknech, and it was against Casper Ruud. Happy days. I think I could potentially talk myself into yet another over in this one. I think Felix has probably got more in the bag when it comes to the surface than a Casper Ruud, if I'm being honest with you. Let's not forget, Felix has got himself a couple of titles. He done really well on the hard court to start the season. 14-7 on the surface, 6-2 indoors. Happy days. Happy days. Got the title in Adelaide. Title in Montpellier indoors. Got to the semi-finals in Doha, and then right after that got to the finals in Dubai, where he eventually got beat by Tsitsipas and Thor's hammer. I think he gets past Arthur Rinderknech. I would like to think so. I think as far as navigating the court, I think he probably stands a better chance of doing that on the surface than a Casper Ruud. He's probably going to be able to hit with Arthur Rinderknech a bit more, possesses a bit more power on the day. I just think he's a better player. But you don't need me to tell you Felix is far from trustworthy. 1.4. I don't know, is that what I took against Echeverry? I feel like I took 1.4 against Echeverry, and I'm not that certain. He just comes in and walks through this one. I don't think he breezes through this one like he did against Echeverry. I imagine it'll be a little bit closer. Arthur Rinderknech could be good for a set. He could even be good for the upset straight up. He opened up around a 2-1 dog. Call it 2-1. He's now sitting around 2.7, 2.6, depending. Clearly, a few people fancy a go on Arthur Rinderknech today. I don't think I'd be taking him. Spread will be around 2.5. It may not be enough for me in that regard. I would lean towards another over. I think he can turn up, stand behind the serve like he does, and win enough 3 points off that. Ultimately, I would see Felix being the winner in the end. However he wants to go about his business is entirely up to him. I think if Echeverry can get a tie-break out here, I think Arthur Rinderknech can too. You know, minus that 6-2 set in the first from Felix in the first round, I think Arthur Rinderknech may be able to hold serve just once more. That's all you need, just one more hold of serve out of him, and we'll have ourselves an over 22.5. I can see it happening. Am I going to take it? I'd be tempted to. I would be very, very tempted to. These dogs ain't so bad this week. I'd lean towards an over. Probably would just go with Felix, to be honest with you. I mean, that record, even though he is on a 2-game winning streak, is Arthur Rinderknech. He's played well over here in Cincinnati. That record is far from promising. 3-9 on the surface, 1-2 indoors. Yeah, not really expecting that deep of a run over here in the Masters. It'll be this one or the next one. I think it'll be this one or the next one. And if I was taking it, I would prefer it to be this one. Although I am aware he could most definitely keep this one close with Felix. I think the over over 22.5, if you can get 22.5, is probably the safe way to go on that one. And then next up, we've got Big Foe, Hugo Humbert. I'm really excited for this one. I don't know how it's going to go. I've got a feeling how I think it may go. I prefer it if it didn't, but I can't help but feel like Big Foe might just beat Hugo Humbert today. Aye. It's not making me very happy to admit it, but I fear that might be the way of the water today. Hugo Humbert looked fairly decent against Wong in the first round, but coming up and looking decent against Wong 6-3, 6-4, that's one thing. But then having to turn up and play Francis Tiafoe, it's quite the difference in it, quite the skill gap. It's quite night and day. He looked alright against Carbias Baena in the first match, 6-4, 6-3. It is what it is. Last time out in Toronto, we seen him get beat by Alex de Minaur, and he had a decent match with him as well. He's just solid, isn't he? Big Foe possesses a fairly solid hard-court game, but I think Hugo Humbert does as well. You know me. Hugo Humbert is one of my favourite players, so I'm trying my best not to be blinded by fucking favouritism here, but I would love Hugo Humbert to win this one. They've played each other 3 times before, head-to-head. Is 2-1 to the American. They've not met since 2021. All of them have been on the hard court. Do I say another over in this one? That seems like a bit of a cop-out, but it probably is just a wise choice, is it not? You could see an over in this one, absolutely. I think Hugo Humbert on the day, now I could be wrong, the rankings would not suggest it, but I think Hugo Humbert possesses a little bit more about his game than what Big Foe does. But we are in the States, and I don't think it's wise to go against Francis Tiafoe, especially early doors over in America. There's a weird magic surrounding this guy's matches once we enter this country, and he becomes very tough to beat, becomes very hard to beat. Hugo Humbert, he ain't exactly set the world alight this season, especially on the hard court. He had a somewhat decent Australian Open to start the season, 1-1 in Dubai, 1-1 in the Indian Wells, 0-1 in Miami, 1-1 in the Tennis Showdown, and then he wins against Wong the first round in Cincinnati. There's a lot to be desired about that, to say the least. Big Foe, I mean, look, even Big Foe's not been much better. 10-7. 10-7 is not that great, if I'm being honest with you. The only thing that's setting these two apart in this one, if you'd ask me, there's points to be defended. There is most definitely points on the line over in Cincinnati. More importantly, for Francis Tiafoe, he did get to the final last year. He'd be expecting himself to go on another deep run once again. I think he'd be good too. I ain't going to go against Hugo Humbert when I would like him to win. Obviously, I would lean towards the over. I imagine you'll be pretty set on Big Foe today. I'm not so certain. Please do let me know your thoughts on that one. I just feel like there's a couple of things that are going to factor into play, and they all kind of point in the direction of Francis Tiafoe in this one. So, for the sake of me boy, I hope he can keep it close, and I hope he can put on a good show. Big Foe will not go down easily over in the States, so maybe another over. We could be in for that 22.5 once again. We have got a lot of decent matches with a lot of decent players today, so that would be the way I'd be looking on that. Right, so next up, we've got Taylor Fritz and Lorenzo Sonego. These are no stranger to one another. 8 meetings over the years since 2018, head-to-head is 6-2 to Taylor Fritz. He's won the last 2 in straight sets, both of them on the hard court, most recently in Miami this year. There tends to be some tie-breaks. Tends to be a tie-break here and there in this matchup. Lorenzo Sonego doesn't tend to have any success against the American outside of the clay. And I feel like on the hard court, Taylor Fritz probably does everything better than Lorenzo Sonego. I think he's better in more or less every single category, in my opinion. There's no shame in conceding that. If you were Lorenzo Sonego, Taylor Fritz is one of the best about at the moment, no doubt. 20-7 on the surface this year for the American, 9-8 for Lorenzo Sonego. I think Taylor Fritz, he looked a little bit worse for wear against Ben Shelton over in the semi-finals in Toronto. Maybe it was a bit of fatigue. Maybe he was just outgunned, outmanned, and outplayed on the day. Who knows? But it's a new day, new tournament. I thought he looked decent enough against Emilio Nave. He done pretty much just enough for me to be happy with the performance. A break a piece in each one. 6-4, 6-4. We'll take that. We expected nothing less. Now, Sonego did look good against Zizou Bergs. I will give him that. But turning up and looking good against Zizou Bergs ain't quite the same as turning up and looking good against Taylor Fritz. Sonego, like I said, he's never had any success really. He's taken a set once on the hard court, and that was indoors in Paris 2021. All the outdoors games, Taylor Fritz has won them in straight sets. Every one of them has seen at least one tiebreaker, so maybe that's food for thought. That could give you much better value than Taylor Fritz, currently sitting at 1.17. No, unfortunately not. That is too steep for me. Lorenzo Sonego is a 4-1 dog. And it's a very tempting price, but we don't just take dogs because of the price. I don't think Sonego wins this. Absolutely not. At the bare minimum, he could just serve well and keep it close. But it is so crucial. It is very, very important that he serves well. He pretty much has to serve an immaculate game today in order to beat Taylor Fritz on this surface. I don't think he stands much of a chance. I think all he can do, or all you can hope for him to do, is keep this one relatively close. So I feel like that would most definitely be the way to look if you were betting this one. There's no business to be done with Taylor Fritz. He'll probably win. I think he's just too good for Lorenzo Sonego, in my opinion. And then next up, we've got Stefanos Tsitsipas and Benjamin Bonzi. Is it wrong that this is my favourite one of the day? Is it so wrong that I'm looking forward to this one the most? I don't think so. I can't wait to watch this. I haven't got a fucking clue what's going to happen. I think it'll be an absolute banger. They've played each other 3 times before in the past. Benjamin Bonzi has never managed to beat Stefanos Tsitsipas. They've never played each other since 2023. Never played each other on the hard court either. Twice on the grass, 2022. Once in Monte Carlo. Bonzi ended up pulling out of that one in the Masters in 2023. So maybe just skip that. But even still, 3-0 against a version of Tsitsipas that we're more than used to seeing. Now, I am very, very happy, extremely, extremely glad that Tsitsipas managed to beat Fabian Madison. Tie-break in the first and then 6-2 in the second. You watched it? I did. Tsitsipas looked good, didn't he? I thought he looked good. He looked a hell of a lot better than what we've seen in the previous 5 meetings prior to this one. Absolutely. Serve was good. Backhand was very, very potent, which it needs to be. This is the lethal weapon of Stefanos Tsitsipas, is that serve and that one-hander, providing you can get it off. And he was more than able to get it off against Fabian Madison. I say tiebreak 6-2. He needed that. He really did. I needed that. So fuck knows how much he needed it. Benjamin Bonzi, man. Tip of the cap to Benjamin Bonzi in this one. You just can't write it. Very close game with Matteo Arnaldi in the first round. That went to 3 sets. He ended up dropping the first one in a tiebreaker as well. Come back 6-3, 6-4. And then Lorenzo Musetti, like we said in yesterday's video, I felt strange. I felt very strange taking that 3.5, but there was just something inside me saying it was the right choice to make. And it absolutely was. He dropped that first set, 7-5, come back 6-4, and then took the tiebreak in the third and final set. Happy days. He's been very solid. He's far from trustworthy. I'll say that he's far from trustworthy. But what we get when he plays well is more than enough to take on most. I'm not saying take out, but definitely take on the majority. I've seen it. I've seen a level. Maybe not so much this year, but I've witnessed levels with Benjamin Bonzi in the past that would suggest to me he is a hell of a lot better than what majority of people would give him credit for. Very clutch. He can clutch up on the break points. I'll give him that. He ain't easy to beat. He ain't easy to beat. And like I said in the other video, I'm very pleased, because I've been waiting for this. Now, I'm not saying he has arrived or now is the time for Benjamin Bonzi, but he's kind of done more in the last two games than what we've seen him do throughout the entirety of the season. I'd like to think he's discovered a little something over here in the Masters. But he is taking on Tsitsipas, and this is quite the double-edged sword for me, because I obviously want Tsitsipas to win. I obviously do. Am I completely against Benjamin Bonzi beating Tsitsipas today? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't know who I would prefer to win. I think Tsitsipas needs it a hell of a lot more. We'd all agree on that. But I'm telling you what, man, I mean, 1.3, 1.35. I said I was convinced against Fabian Marzon. I don't think I was that convinced, especially when Bonzi's just turning up, upsetting the apple cart. You know, the curious case of Benjamin Bonzi, if he was to turn up today and just give it to Stefanos Tsitsipas, you probably wouldn't be surprised, given on what we've seen recently from the Greek. You know, the one win amongst a very bad run of form for Stefanos Tsitsipas comes against Fabian Marzon. How much weight that holds, I'm not too sure. It was a decent win, a well-deserved win, much-needed win. But I think Benjamin Bonzi might be a bit of a tougher task. I think he might be tougher. I think if Fabian Marzon can get a tie-break out of you over on this surface, I think Benjamin Bonzi can do it too. I think he can serve well. He hits the ball well. He really hits it well. He hits it pretty hard as well. Possesses enough power to hang with the majority. He can serve well. He just needs to stick with it, Benjamin Bonzi. You never know what's going to happen. You watch it, when I'm watching these Bonzi matches, it goes from game to game. I'm never really sitting there going, yeah, we'll be alright in this one. It really is. Every single game, I'm sitting there, it's a nail biter. But it's one hell of an experience. I'll give it that. One hell of an experience indeed. Over 22.5. I don't think I'd be brave enough to fire on Bonzi as a dog. You'll get around 3.5 games on the spread for the Frenchman. You could take that if you want, or you can see what the price is on the over, assess the situation, and I'd probably approach it that way, unless you feel fairly confident enough to take Tsitsipas at 1.3 on your parlay. That's entirely up to you, but I don't really know what I'd do on that. Looking very, very forward to watching it. Super excited to see that one, and we'll see what happens. We'll see who wins. Right then, this shouldn't take much more time. We've got 3 more that remain, and they're all pretty big favourites indeed. So next up we have got João Fonseca and Terence Atmane. Now, João Fonseca being 1.25 in this, I can't help but disagree with that. I cannot help but disagree with that. 19-4 on the surface this year for Fonseca. Fantastic. That is fantastic. Terence Atmane 22-13. He's clearly more than capable of playing on the surface too, as we mentioned in the previous video. Not only that, look, he's come through qualifying without dropping a set. He come up against Nishioka, took him out in 2, and then I thought it was curtains for Terence Atmane coming up against Flavio Caboli. No, absolutely not. He took the first set, and I thought, okay, we'll see how this one ends up. He dropped the second set, and I thought, here we go. This is where it all comes crumbling down. But no, But no, to my surprise, he had enough up there. He had enough mental capacity to stick with it and in that one. Ended up taking a third set tiebreak against the blazing hot in form Italian. Yeah, I'm very impressed. I was very impressed indeed. Joao Fonseca, bit of a close one against Boo. We didn't really go through that match. I think that was on the first day of the first round. Probably would have expected him to win. A bit close for comfort. I don't know if anyone had any business with that one. Please do let me know. I imagine you probably sweated that one out. And then the game against Davidovich Fokina. He was done. He was done. When he dropped that first set, he went down in the second, and then Davidovich Fokina just fucked himself up, and he ended up having to pull out. I think it was safe to assume he probably would have been done for in that match. He was he was lacking a bit. He was seriously lacking. I'm not too surprised. We did say this version of Joao Fonseca probably doesn't have any right taking out the current version, this season's version of Davidovich Fokina. Absolutely not. So the fact that he retired and ended up winning, it fits, doesn't it? It does kind of fit, but I don't think, and I don't want to take anything away from the kid because, he's hung in there. He's very lucky to be here. We'll just leave it at that. Very, very lucky to be here indeed. I think there's some improvements that need to be made. If I was going to take him at 1.2, that is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I don't know whether it's just me, but I think maybe more as of late, or maybe more so since we've come back to the hard court. I don't want to say as a whole because pretty much for the entirety of the year he's been really good. But the game against Nicholas Jarry in Wimbledon, that match against Tristan Schoolkate, and even the game against Boo and Davidovich Fokina, the most recent ones, I think his return game's been well off. I think the return game of this kid is fucking in the gutter. I really do. Needs a lot of work. Now it looks like it needs a lot of work. Given Terence Atmane is a 3-1 dog, given how good he's playing over here in Cincinnati, flew through qualifying, flew through the first round, he's flown right under the radar, taking out Flavio Cobolli. I would like to think if you can take out this version of Flavio Cobolli on the hard court in the fashion in which you did, I'd say you stand a very good chance at coming up and taking out Joao Fonseca today on the hard court. Absolutely. I can't look away from that price. 1.22. Is that just me? Or are we gonna get the Fonseca fans in the fucking crowd, the Fluminense Ultras or whatever team he supports in Brazil? Oh no, Fonseca should be 1.02 in this one. I do not agree with a 1.25 favourite on this kid. Just a personal opinion, and it's putting me right off it. I wouldn't be too sure he wins it anyway, and I certainly wouldn't let that price make my decision for me. Absolutely not. I'm going to stick with me gut. Look towards Terence Atman on the spread. Maybe look towards an over if you're brave enough. That is a fantastic price for the Frenchman today. 3-1. For someone who's just on one hell of a tear over in Cincinnati. Do we think Fonseca is going to be quite the step up? I mean, he's ranked pretty much more than twice as high as him. 49 in the world for Fonseca, 132 for Terence Atman. You've just got to go off what you've seen this week. I've been much more impressed with the Frenchman. I have. It's just a fact. I think it'll be a bit of an ask for him to get past Fonseca, but I suppose we'll see. We'll see if Joao really does deserve to be in the Masters or not. I think providing either one wins this match, this will. I think will this be as far as either one have got? Definitely Atman. I don't know about Fonseca. I don't think he's been this far. Would he have been to the round of 16 before in the Masters? I don't think so. Don't quote me on it. But yeah, it's all on the line today. There's a hell of a lot to play for. I would fancy having a little sprinkle on the dog in this one, just for the hell of it. He's been playing good. He's in rather fine fettle indeed. I think he will most certainly not make it easy for Joao Fonseca at the least. And then we've got two more. We've got Yannick Sinner and Gabe Diallo. It feels like I never get to talk about Yannickson, and it's a fucking shame as well, because there's so much to be said about the best in the world, but for what we do over here, there's not a lot to be said, really, is there? I mean, he wins all the time. He wins all the time. Considering we go through the tennis every single day, every tournament, all year round. We see Yannick in it quite a bit, but every single time, unless it's the final, and it's a very close final where it's him and Alcaraz, and we can do a separate video for the one match, it's just a case of, oh yeah, Yannick Sinner, he's going to win next. He wins all the time. It's as simple as that. It's not too hard to predict an outcome where you've got one player who wins pretty much every single fucking time. You don't need me to tell you. Yannick Sinner is probably going to win this match. You can't stop him. You just can't stop him. Gabe Diallo. Now, I don't know if my eyes are playing tricks on me, but it says Pinnacle as Gabe Diallo as a 24-1 dog. That is nuts. I've got him around 20-1 here on 365 and on the exchange, but that's the price. That's the price. That's it's the severity of the situation. Gabe Diallo is most definitely in the danger zone now. I think the only hope is to keep it close. I said that about Daniel Galan. This is the way you've got to treat these games. The only hope is to keep this one close, and how close will you keep it? I'd be surprised if it's close at all. Yannick Sinner turned up and just beasted Daniel Galan. Beasted him 6-1, 6-1. I would imagine Gabe Diallo is going to have a bit more in the bag, possess a few more minerals on the day to stand a bit of a better chance, put up more of a fight against Yannick Sinner. Absolutely. I don't think it'll be no 6-1, 6-1. Definitely not. But he's gone back and forth with Sebastian Baez quite a bit. Couple breaks here and there, back and forth with Sebastian Baez on the hard court. He got the win, which is all that matters in the end, but maybe it will be another 6-1, 6-1. I always say, with prices like this, you should know by now, unless this is your first time watching. The rule applies. 99% of the time, the rule applies. 1.02s, we lean towards the dog on the spread, or the total games played, if you're seeking value and value alone. But I said it for the Alcaraz game. And I'll say it for this one. Whether it happens or whether it doesn't, however they want to go about the business, will always be entirely up to them. But big spreads and big dogs, more often than not, they do come in. But there is an exception. And that exception tends to be Yannick Sinner. Most of the time for me, him and Alcaraz on the big spreads, they're good for them. They're usually good for them most of the time. I don't know if I'd be taking it in this one. I think Gabe Diallo stands a hell of a better chance than what Daniel Galan did, that's for sure. But it's Yannick Sinner. He fucks everyone up. Anyone who stands in his way inevitably turns to dust, and I would imagine Gabe Diallo will suffer the same fate today. And then we'll wrap this shit up with Adrian Mannarino and Tommy Paul. Banger. Absolute banger. It's going to be a good one. This will be a decent one. Head to head is one apiece. In this matchup, Adrian Mannarino winning the most recent of the two last year, hard court 6-3, 7-5 in Paris, indoors. Makes it interesting. Makes it a lot more interesting indeed. Tommy Paul beat him in Wimbledon in 2022, and he beat the shit out of him as well. Now I'm seeing Tommy Paul around 1.2. I expect him to be the favourite. I expect nothing less. But what have I said about Adrian Mannarino all week? What have I said about him all season? He ain't done. And if you're not ready, I said this perfect about the Thomas Mahatch one, if you are not ready to deal what this guy is going to throw your way, then you're fucked. You are super fucked. Not many can deal with the problems Mannarino can give to you. Flew through qualifying in straight sets, battered everyone, turned up against Jordan Thompson, and then just fucking beat the shit out of him, 6-2, 6-2. Comes up against Thomas Mahatch as quite a decent dog. Thomas Mahatch was 1.4 to be precise in that one. Mannarino, 6-3, 6-3. Get off my court. Get out of my sight. What is this? I mean, who's going to beat him? I think Tommy Paul's going to beat him. I think Tommy Paul could very well suffer the same fate as the previous four. I really do. He looked okay. He looked more than okay against Pedro Martinez, but what's that saying? Let's be real, folks. What is that saying? Not much. Not much. I weren't that impressed with Tommy Paul against Sebastian Hoffner in Wimbledon, admittingly. That was pretty much, well, a full month ago, the start of last month. On the grass too. And we're not on the grass, we're on the hard court. But Pedro Martinez coming up against Tommy Paul, I would expect a bit of a washout in that one. And that's exactly what it was. 6-2, 6-2. Easy. Easy. Too easy for Tommy Paul. I think Adrian Mannarino, more importantly this version of Adrian Mannarino, will prove to be a bit of a tougher task than a Pedro Martinez. Not many can deal with him. Not many can deal with Mannarino, unfortunately. The last person to beat him was Ben Shelton over in Toronto, 6-2, 6-3. And then you're going back to Los Cabos, where he got beat by James Duckworth. But he's been in decent form. He's been in decent form over in Cincinnati. He's found a nice piece of momentum. I'll give him that. 8-11 on the hard court this year. Ain't that good. It ain't that good. It certainly ain't no 11-4 from the American, I'll tell you that. But Mannarino, he just seems to play on pure vibes. He plays on pure vibes. It's kind of like he's got nothing to lose anymore, you know. He's kind of just here. He'll always be here. He's one of the people that if you think you're gonna be whoever you think you deserve to be, you're gonna have to get past the likes of an Adrian Mannarino, and we'll find out very, very quick whether you're about it or not. We've already seen it this tournament. We've seen it for years. He's still not done yet. Do I think he's got like a Tommy Paul level win in the bag still? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, the win against Thomas Mahatch is a decent one if we're talking about calibre of opponent, but I think you'd agree with me, Thomas Mahatch has been a bit patchy this season, and he's been a bit dicey, a little bit ropey, a bit shaky. So maybe that one kind of makes sense. That makes a lot more sense than what a win against Tommy Paul would. I'll say that. I don't think he's going to beat him. I think it would be brilliant to watch. It would be quite the spectacle to behold. And with that price being 1.2, I don't trust that. I don't trust that. Because we're in the States and we've got Tommy Paul, doesn't necessarily mean he's a 1.2 favourite. In my eyes anyway, I don't believe he's a 1.2 favourite. Adrian Mannarino is causing problems. This week. As a matter of fact, he's been an absolute fucking nightmare, to say the least. So I'm looking at this spread, and it's telling me it's 4.5. Adrian Mannarino on the 4.5. That's the value pick today, I'd say. That would be the value pick. Lean towards an over. It's kind of been the reoccurring theme for today, hasn't it? Kind of been a reoccurring theme, but you know me, when do I ever really give out overs? Apart from the last tournament or two, I've kind of been looking into it a bit more, but you know me, I ain't really a total guy, but I feel like there's a good reason to trust in them today. I fancy Mannarino to keep it close, plus the 4.5. You might get a low total in this one, you might get around 20.5 if you're lucky, so see what we've got. Let me know what you're going for on that. I think that's going to do us. That shall do us for tonight. Once again, I apologise for the late upload. This should be the last late upload. I think I'm most definitely over these night shifts by now. But I shall be saying good night to you. Thanks for watching. You all mean a lot to me. I appreciate you stopping by. Like and subscribe before you go, and I'd appreciate that too. But very well. You take it easy, yeah? You take care of yourselves. You take care of one another. It's the most important thing, innit? And let me know what you're going for. Share with the group. Don't be shy. We all appreciate everyone's advice. We all like winners. And I'll be seeing you around, folks. Best of luck to you. Enjoy the matches today. And I'll be seeing you tomorrow.